Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of Final Fantasy II for the Nintendo Famicom system. Let's go get Cid's airship. Cid was injured in the cyclone attack, and unfortunately he succumbed to his injuries. But before he died, he willed us his airship, and we're going to need that airship to get into Palamecia Castle, where the Dark Knight, who turned out to be Leon, our friend from the beginning of the game, is holed up. He's declared himself the new emperor since we defeated the emperor in the cyclone. So there are two ways we can get to Cid's airship. We can either go over the land, or we can take the ship. The ship would be quicker because the random encounter rate in the sea is lower than the encounter rate on land, and then we wouldn't have to worry about like going around terrain. So it's a straighter shot, less encounters, and the encounters are actually better for building up stats, because the sea monsters are all level 5, so all the encounters on the sea are going to be at least level 5, where these encounters here are usually brought down to level 3 because of the presence of the sergeants. However, we still want to. I decided to take the land route because I'm still trying to hopefully get one of those coast books from the captains. The captains are now a common enemy on the ground here, and they can drop that coast spell, so it would be nice to get that. Like I said, that's the only other way we can get the coast book, because there was only one available in the entire game back in Dee's Castle. And we sold that book because I thought it'd have the ancient sword, but unfortunately I sold the ancient sword, so yeah, made a mistake, but it's okay. If we get one, it's okay. If we don't get it, well, we'll just figure another way to. You don't need to beat the game. That's one of the good things about this game. There isn't like one thing that like you basically need to have in order to beat the game. There's multiple ways you can go about like beating the game, beating the enemies in the game. So a lot of customization in a sense. So hopefully we can maybe get that coast spell. I did get a coast spell in my like a test run of this, but it always seems that the test run doesn't always work out. So we're getting a lot of spell books here. We can sell them, not that we really need money for anything. But yeah, that pirate ship is still there. We can't use that, but we could lose the ship that we got from the Leviathan's mouth that we kind of parked around there. So yeah, too bad we keep, like I said, running into these. Those sergeants tend to be very common, so they're bringing down this encounter level to a 3. So, but we're not getting much use out of our weapon skills for our characters. But Maxine can still get some decent points from her for like her lower rank spells. Like you got to work on haste, berserk, haste, berserk, and something else she has that I'm trying to work on. Like 3 support spells. So the rank for casting is let's see, Osmos. There we go. The rate for casting is the enemy rank, which would be 3 plus the times cast plus 3 minus the spell level. So as long as our so we're still getting some decent ranking from spells that basically are under level 3 for Maxine, which is basically all of her support spells: Berserk, Osmos, and Haste. So yeah, we won't be getting too much. We have to for our rank 7 spells, which are basically all our elemental spells. We'd have to cast them 3 plus 3 plus 1. We'd have to cast them at least 2 times just to get 1 point. And that's not really effective, so Fess gained some spirit there, always good. We get a whole bunch of weapons and drops here. None of that stuff is really going to sell for all that much. The books might sell for a little bit, like the Ore Tome, but like the mithril equipment, that's way outdated. So, but I'll still take it anyway. So the obsessive compulsiveness in me makes me want to grab all the stuff. So just checking out her spells, all our elementals are thing. We're gonna have to eventually start working Flare, Fess will start working more of his holy as well. But we are going to do a little bit of, I don't want to say grinding, because I really don't need to do the fighting that I'm going to be doing to, advance in the game. But because, this is 100% Let's Play, I want to show off all the enemies in the game. So there's a few new enemies that we can only kind of, that we can only either, one, meet on the overworld, or two, if you can meet them somewhere else, the overworld is a better place to meet them because there's a higher percentage chance that you run into them. So, yeah, after this, before we head to Palamecia, we will be going to the overworld, doing some monster hunting, trying to clear out all the monsters, like I said, that you can either only find on the overworld, or that are more likely to be encountered in the overworld. So, yeah, we got 3 dungeons left in the game. So, there are some enemies that are more common, like I said, in the overworld than those 3 dungeons. So, Fess working that holy spell there. Maxine still working her support spells there. So, like I said, if we get the support spells up to about level 4, that's where we basically want to keep them. So, yeah, they don't have to get as high as the elemental spells and eventually flare. But, like I said, Fess, he'll be working his holy a lot. He can do pretty much. Eventually, holy will eventually outdamage his weapons that he's using. But we want to just keep working that holy anyway, unless we're in a really tough battle, because we want to build up Fess's spirit and keep casting that holy will, have a better chance of him raising that spirit. You're guaranteed a spirit increase if you cast the spell 15 times in battle, a white magic spell, so I don't think we'll have to cast something that much in battle, but, we'll get maybe like, 3 or 4 castings in it, so there's a good percentage chance that, we may get a stat increase. So, got some big horns here. They are not guarding any black masks, though, so, yeah, I still find it weird that we can, you still have the black and white masks on in your inventory, because the white mask, like I said, should have been put on the statue in Macedia, which is where actually we'll be heading once you get the airship. And then the black mask, remember, we put on the doppelganger to prevent it from moving and blocking our passage into the cave east of Macedia. But for some reason, they don't take them away from your inventory. Like I said, it would be nice, though, if they did. That would give us some more inventory slots. Like I said, the only key item that we really can get rid of would be the wyvern. Eventually, once Ricard leads our party. So, yeah, good old Ricard, our archer dragoon. So, a weird weapon for him to be using. But actually, back then, because this is like Ricard was the first like dragoon, and their weapon of choice isn't really established until the next game, Final Fantasy III, where they're basically kind of like cavaliers, which are like horsemen, horse knights, but instead of riding horses, they ride wyverns, and so their weapons becomes a spear. In the remake, rather than give Ricard a whole bunch of sword levels, they give him spear levels. So, to better fit in with the establishment of the dragoon as a spear user. So we see the spear-using dragoon in, Final Fantasy III, they use spears, and then in 4, the dragoon Kane, probably the most famous dragoon in the series, and then in 5, when you use the dragoon job, they naturally come with spears. 6, Mog and Edgar could be made to be dragoons with the dragoon boots. And then 7 had, Sid was like the airship guy. And he had like a limit rate where he jumped. Kind of like how a dragoon gets that ability, and then 2, the jump ability, which is established in 3. the next game. So that's a very vital skill in 3 for one boss. So that's where dragoons shine in this one area. So, but yeah, Final Fantasy 2 we'll be getting into that game after this one. So stick around. Of course, that scene where we get the dragoon is probably about halfway through the game. So yeah, you got quite a while until we see the dragoons in Final Fantasy 3. Even longer, I was gonna say Dragon Warrior 3. It'll be a while until we get to that game. So we have this game to finish off, and then Final Fantasy 3, Dragon Quest 1 and 2. So, alright, we finally get the airship, which means we never have to have another random encounter in the overworld ever again. But we will, because like I said, we're going to farm enemies. The airship can only land on the grassy plains, which is the flat green grass, or that light green grass, or it can land on like concrete, which is kind of like the landing pad where we picked it up at. So, the Obsidian people don't have anything new to say. I think they might say something new with the whole, now the cyclone is been removed, because that's what they're telling us to do. So, but we did get a few new keywords, so we can actually go over to the house in the south west corner of Mysidia and go to that bookshelf again and see what it has to say about the keywords. So, well, these guys are not informed of what we did, so they're still like, hey, summon the wyvern. Oh, we already got the wyvern. So, let's go get some new information on some keywords that we got here. So, ask. Cyclone, nope, not new by cyclone. The king of Palamecia declared that any man who could enter his castle could marry his daughter. Many failed attempts were made, but a man with a bag made a hot air balloon. Landed on the roof. So yeah, just like how Paul said he used the kite to fly onto the roof, we're gonna have to fly onto the roof. But we got like an airship. Thing is though, if you like leave, if you warp out of the castle, what ends up happening is, whatchamacallit, the ship like is teleported back, so it's almost like, I guess you fly over the ship and then you parachute in. I guess you have like that guy who used to work with, well, I was gonna say you have that guy, I guess, who works with Sid, who you'd pay to fly. Maybe he like comes with the airship and he flies you around, because like we get the when you beat the castle, you kind of get warped back to Finn. So when the airship is back there, so it's not like you land the airship on the castle. Like I said, it seems like you get to parachute in, but I don't know. I was gonna say that can't be that guy comes with it, because in the remake of the game, like I said, there's that bonus scenario, the Soul of Rebirth, and Sid's in that. You basically run into a whole bunch of people who die during the course of this adventure. So there's a town in the afterlife, and Sid's in there, and his assistant's there, and so... Well, I was talking so much, I totally missed that new enemy there, the Salamander. Surprisingly, he is not weak to ice. Usually Salamander in games is a fire lizard. That one can cast a fire spell on you, like a blaze spell, but it's not weak to ice, so it's just regular no weakness monster. So, yeah, a lot of the other, like, basilisk type monsters were weak to ice. It goes back to that, the lizards being, weak to the cold. So, I guess that's because most lizards and stuff are, well, I guess all lizards, reptiles, that I know of. I guess they are all cold-blooded. So, which means they rely on the sun to heat their body temperature up and keep them warm and moving. Their blood doesn't heat up on its own, so they can be lazy when it's cold out. So you just want to walk around here, get quite a few new enemies here. So there's Mantis Kings, which we just ran into right there, the green one in the upper left, who has 3 of his minions with him. And then there's some Pit Fiends, which are like buffed up imps. There's annoying imps in the Mysidia Tower. that are even tougher. And then another one that would be nice to meet is these thing called hecties. We could have ran into a weaker version of the hecti in the amoeba back in the cyclone, but they're kind of a rare encounter in there. They're more common in the Palamecia castle, so we'll run into them there. But if we don't run into the hectis here, they're a common encounter in a future dungeon. Not Palamecia, but the dungeon after that. But the other ones, the Salamander, the Mantis King, and the Pit Fiends, are all most common outside here around Mysidia, in the area around Mysidia. So, like I said, we'll stick around here, gain some skill points, and then, you know, clear out our bestiary. So, like I said, this lets me show off all the enemies in the game. So, yeah, some of these guys are Mantis Kings, ain't that bad, you know. They have no weaknesses, but they have nothing really special about them, you know. The Pit Fiends, like I said, they're upgraded imps. They're really annoying because they have spells and all. So, yeah, physical enemies ain't as bad as the magical enemies in this game. Because physical enemies, like I said, as long as you're building up your evasion, you can, you know, evade most of their attacks. And our evasion is pretty darn good. So, especially Booker there with the high shield levels that he has. Fess's knife is not giving him, the Mangouche is not giving him as much of an evasion boost as the shield would, but you know, a shield would give that massive penalty to his white magic, 70%, where the Mangouche knife is only giving him a 5%. So, yeah, it pays off to you know, have the Mangouche instead of a shield. Shields give a lot of like elemental protections, but because Fess has the mirror, I mean the ribbon's already given him all those elemental protections, so he doesn't need the shield to really give him a bunch of the resistances to the 4 elements, and then also mind, matter, body, and death, because the ribbon's already doing that for him. So, and then like I said, we'll get a second ribbon that'll eventually go to Maxine, unless we find another one. And then Booker will get resistances to all the elements from a piece of armor, and then the other 4 spells, mind, body, matter, and death, he'll get from the final shield, the Aegis Shield. Which in the first game only protected against petrification, which I think is a body spell in this game. So, the Aegis Shield is definitely got a boost. Usually always a top-tier shield in most Final Fantasy games. Always gives like special elemental protections, but makes sense. Aegis Shield, I think it was Zeus's shield? The shield of the gods, so makes sense that a god would have like a really good shield. So let's look that up real quick here. Sometimes I don't know what I'm actually going to talk about when I so I don't have all these things necessarily looked up when I begin talking. A lot of this is just you know, free form. So yeah, let's check that out here while we're trying to find monsters here. So yeah, it's a shield carried by Athena and Zeus. So yeah, ancient Greek. So stated in the Iliad. So there we go. I was right. I haven't done a lot of study in mythology. I did take some mythology courses in high school, and I think I took one in college as well. So, because I was an English major, so I had to study a bunch of stuff. So, different literatures. I didn't feel like doing like the normal ones that a lot of people did, like you know, British literature or American literature. I wanted to branch out, do something different. So, like old Greek literature. I took science fiction. And then also for my senior thesis, I took a science fiction class. So, examining how race was used in science fiction. So, how a lot of times, like, you know, aliens and how we treated aliens was, you know, a commentary on, you know, racism and, you know, and just the world in general, you know, and how we can use the theme of aliens to, you know, because they're the other, which is how a lot of, unfortunately, races view other races, you know. Unfortunately, we lost some MP there from Fess. There was parasites can drain your MP with osmosis, so yeah, boring. So, well, we're only gonna see if we can get another fight in here. If we don't get these pit fiends, we'll get them in another episode. So yeah, this is, like I said, this is running kind of long. Like I said, I usually like to keep the episodes around 20 minutes or so. So we'll just end up finishing this one off, and then, like I said, we'll try to look for those pit fiends in our next episode. Because then we can spend once we find them, we can move on to another area, over to the desert. We got some new desert enemies to encounter and take out. So, one of them being the sandworm, which makes me might think of the sci-fi literature Dune. So, which we did not read in the science fiction, any of the science fiction classes that I had, but I read them on my own. The Dune novels, all the ones by Frank Herbert. I even read some of the ones that his son Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson wrote, based on a bunch of Frank Herbert's old notes. So, like the House trilogy, and then the Butlerian Jihad, the 3 books on them. Yeah, there's the Cat Claw, which is the best knife in the game. That's actually a treasure that we can get in 2 dungeons from now. The second to last dungeon. So yeah, it's actually tougher than a Defender. The Defender has like +8 to its evasion times the weapon level, so it's basically as good as a shield. So we're just going to keep that on Fess for a while to help raise his evasion, keep him safe. So, well, take care. That's it for this episode. See you next one when we're doing some more monster hunting. Have a good day. Bye.